On the last episode.
Whew. Thought I was a goner this time. Some nano-wit in genetics must have left the cages open again. For instance, Viola, my soon-to-be patented grind boots.
Sell? After we just saved your scrawny butt?
I'm back.
So you are.
And I found this.
I know for your robot. Trade you.
Well, okay.
Rip ya a new one.
What did you just say to me?
Welcome to the HoverCon Intergalactic Hoverboard Competition.
Yeah, Skid couldn't make it, so we're here to, fill in for him.
Hi, folks. Captain Quark here. Thank you and have a quark-tastic day.
And so it continues. There's also a skill point, I believe, for completing all 3 laps in under a minute 30. Which means you have to average less than 30 seconds a lap. It's actually quite difficult to get the not only the time skill point, but also the points one. Because yeah, it's quite difficult to get those skill points. But again, luckily I'm not going for 100%, so fuck that. So now we get to another stressful point in the game here pretty soon. Again, as a kid, this upcoming section was really quite bad for me personally. Like, I actually couldn't beat it as a kid because I just sucked so bad at not only playing, but also the stress would get to me. So I would just try and get my grandpa to do it for me, and sometimes even he wouldn't be able to do it. And there was quite a few times where like he would just refuse to do it because he was so sick of doing it for me all the time. So there eventually came a time in which, as a kid, I had to just suck it up and learn how to do it myself. And luckily, again, as an adult, it's not so bad because I know what to do now. But I must say, it's, again, as a kid, stressful as heck. And you'll see what I'm talking about in a little bit here. Also, this next section becomes absolutely trivial. There's enemies that kind of stop you from going really fast at one specific point. And with the suck cannon, you don't have to worry about that. Because luckily you can hold down the suck cannon while you're moving. We are getting close to 30,000 volts, which is nice to see. Once we get there, we will be 1/5 of the way to the Rhino. Okay. Oh, I think I got... Ooh. Damn. I can now ride the water all the way to the finish. Oh man, this section is actually quite difficult. I don't know how many times I've beaten it where I've had like one little tiny bubble at the bottom of the bar left. But if you go fast enough, you can beat that less upward section and just float on top of the water as it rises. But you have to go pretty fast. You have to basically make no mistakes in order to get to that point. But if you don't get to the point where you can ride the water to the top, then yeah, you have to swim all the way there, and that's you lose. You get pretty close on your breath if that happens.
Hey, press conference is over. Captain Quark don't want no more reporters bugging him in his trailer.
Oh, you see, my friend and I need to speak to the captain about a matter of galactic security.
You mean you and your walking camera? You paparazzi make me sick. Now beat it!
But sir, I'm sure the Captain Quark will understand once we...
Now, save it. I know how it works. You convince me to let you in, you snap a picture of the captain in his underpants, then you sell a picture to the info tabloid for $1 million bolts!
You've got it all wrong.
Meanwhile, I'm stuck here making 6 bolts an hour, and I have to listen to a lecture from that cheapskate Quark. So you don't get in unless I get a kickback. In advance.
So notice how I said we're getting pretty close to 30,000 bolts? Yeah, this guy absolutely shafts us because he thinks that we're gonna make 1 million bolts off the captain. Well, there goes all of our hard-earned money.
You see how it works? You grease the hinges, the door opens.
Captain Quark?
What's that?
It's Ratchet and Clank, Captain. You know, from the
Oh, yes, I know who you are.
You do?
Yes, and thank the galaxy you found me.
Huh?
There's an awful plot being hatched to destroy our planets.
Ratchet, he knows.
Great. Does that mean we can go hoverboarding now?
My friends, we're all in grave danger, and I believe that together we can put a stop to this madness.
Together? You mean you want our help?
Look, Ratchet, I've been keeping an eye on you. I've never seen anyone with such raw talent. You are a true hero in the making.
Really? You mean I could be famous?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, here, take this. What makes one man toil in obscurity while another becomes a hero? Is it strength, compassion, determination, or just pure blind luck? Wise men through the ages have struggled with that very question, but Captain Quark knows the secret. That's why he's been able to defeat more despots, rescue more damsels in distress, and save more civilizations than any other hero in the galaxy. Now is your opportunity to see if you've got the stuff heroes are made of. This infobot contains coordinates to Quark's secret base. Can you quickly conquer Quark's killer cannonade of confounded contraptions? Can you Quarkly quick? Oh, just make your way through the defenses to the center of the base. Prove yourself, learn the secret, and earn your place in galactic history. Consult your doctor before attempting any strenuous exercise. Not responsible for death or dismemberment. Your results may vary. Meet me at my headquarters.
Hey, Captain Ratchet, what do you think?
We won't fail you, sir. We promise.
Okay, so that's pretty important to the plot right there. It basically kicks off the next major section of the game. So far in the game, we've been trying to catch up to Quark, because obviously Clank wants to speak to Captain Quark and notify him of what's happening with Chairman Drek, in the hopes that Captain Quark will, stop him. And so we finally meet the man, and Captain Quark, right out of the gate, just tells us, "Oh, I know who you are, and I know why you're here to see me." And so Clank's like, "Oh, well, that's great. That's why, we came to see you in the first place." And so far, Ratchet's like, and you saw it in the cutscene too, he's like, "Great, he knows. Can we go, do something else now?" Because, again, in Ratchet's eyes, he's done his duty. He has no reason to keep going with this. But then Captain Quark says, "I would like you to help me. And you could be a hero if you do that." And that is when it finally clicks for Ratchet, like, I could be a hero. That would be pretty sweet, because it makes him famous, it boosts his ego. It's something that all of a sudden now Ratchet's like, "Oh, that actually sounds pretty good," which is complete contrast to the remakes, where right out of the gate, the very first cutscene, you see Ratchet like wanting to be a hero. He's nerdy, he has all these collection of, the Quark squad. He wants to be a hero, which is totally different from how Ratchet actually is in this game. Because Ratchet he doesn't want to be a hero until Quark gives him the idea that he could be, and then Ratchet's like, "You know what, that sounds pretty good." But it's also a little suspicious, because again, if you remember when Drek told the shadowy figure to take care of the problem, it looked like Quark. And Quark already knows not only about Drek, but he was also keeping an eye on Ratchet and Clank, like watching them and what they're doing, which is kind of suspicious. And so Quark invites Ratchet and Clank to come to his headquarters on this planet, which is normally a training ground for heroes. You have to go through all these dangerous obstacles, and even at the end of the infobot it says, not responsible for death or dismemberment, and your results may vary, which is kind of suspicious. But we'll kind of see what that happens on the next planet. And the next planet also is like a big turning point for the game too, because the next planet is where the difficulty starts to ramp up. The difficulty curve on that planet is something else, because so far we've been fighting enemies that we can mostly just take care of with our wrench. I mean, we've seen a couple of enemies where they have counters, but so far most of the enemies are pretty much pushovers. But the next planet like turns the game on its head, and I'll talk a little bit more about it once we get there.
Welcome to my challenge course. Now is your chance to prove yourself strong and brave, like me. Conquer it, and you'll join in my fight against evil.
Haven't we done enough already?
What? I can't hear you.
I said, haven't we done?
Sorry, still having trouble. Tell me later.
Later? We might be dead by then.
What?
All right, Clank, let's get going.
So this is an interesting, like, little piece to sort of get you thinking right away here. As soon as you enter this planet, Quark's like, okay, now go through the obstacle course in order to, you know, come talk to me about Drek's invasion. And remember, like, you kind of have to assume that maybe Quark was like, oh, you're just going to come here so we can talk about it. But Quark actually intends for Ratchet and Clank to go through this death course. And Ratchet's like, well, haven't we done enough already? Like we defeated one of Drek's lieutenants even. Like, don't you think we proved ourselves to be, you know, to help you out? And Quark's like, no, you have to go through the death course, which is really suspicious, right? And for those of you who are astute, right, this comes back to the fact that Drek had told this shadowy figure to deal with Ratchet and Clank, right? So, I mean, we don't really have a lot of choice, right? Because Clank, like, both Ratchet and Clank, like, they still think that Quark is going to help them defeat Drek, right? Even if Quark is being a little shady here. So we get to go through this death course. This planet also signifies like the first major jump in difficulty in the game. I mean, you can see by the enemies so far, like we haven't been able to melee any of them except for this one. And this enemy doesn't even die when you melee it, so it just disables it for a few seconds. These enemies, if you get too close, they'll home in on you, and they become pretty much impossible to dodge. If they do start to home in on you, you're basically going to take damage no matter what. And then obviously there are the bomb thrower towers up there too. And yeah, it basically changes up how you play the game, because so far we've been relying on our wrench to do pretty much everything, and yeah, without the blaster on this level, it's really difficult. It's also one of the big reasons why I bought the blaster. It gives you range, that's pretty much the major reason. Even the bomb glove, like, you can use the bomb glove to go through this area, but especially with these mines, it gets to be really touchy, because you have to get pretty close still to use it, and plus the bomb glove only has 40 ammo, so you tend to run out pretty quick in this area. But I would say that this planet basically signifies the second third of the game. Like, not just story-wise, but like gameplay progression-wise. So I did mess around a little bit with my audio again. So if my audio is a little bit different than how it has been for the past few episodes, that's why. I also literally just woke up, so my voice is gonna be a little bit groggy. That's fine, because I don't plan on talking a whole bunch anyway. Unless it's to let you guys know a little bit of trivia or talk about the story a little more. It really is kind of nice though, playing this game actually. Compared to the games I have been playing where I have to read every single text box. Not that I dislike it, of course, like, you know, I'm not gonna not play a game just because of the thought that I might have to read a whole bunch, you know, but I don't know, it's just nice. Also, something to keep in mind is that we are starting like the second third of the game. I guess this would technically be Act 2 if you were to give it a label. And we still aren't even a fifth of the way there to get the rhino. I keep talking about my bolt count a lot, but I don't know, it's just something to keep in mind that actually getting the rhino on the first playthrough of the game is quite difficult. Without using glitches or exploits, that is. Or farming bolts. Meant to do a double jump there, game. So, the blaster is a little bit interesting when it comes to how its range works, because you would think that basically the maximum range for the blaster, like as soon as the little green reticle shows up, that basically means that you can shoot whatever you're aiming at. But the blaster does aim out a little bit further than where the reticle begins to show up, if that makes any sense. It's a little difficult to explain. I mean, if you've noticed, the blaster actually has homing shots on it, meaning that the shots will kind of like auto curve. It's not like intense homing. It's not like gonna, you know, do a U-turn kind of homing, but it does sort of warp the shots a little bit just to make sure you hit whatever enemy you're aiming at. And basically, as long as the green reticle shows up before you shoot the blaster, then it'll have the homing shots. But if you shoot the blaster without that green target thing, then your shots won't home. But there is a couple situations where you do want to shoot the blaster without the green reticle showing up, and that's if you're trying to get maximum range out of your blaster. So you notice that like the reticle will show up just as the mines start to curl back, but if I shoot it here, I can destroy the mines before the reticle even shows up, at the sacrifice that my shots won't like curve to match the movement of the mines. This planet's going to be good for making some bolts though, because we won't have to spend a single bolt on anything. Which is nice considering the last planet we had to pay 4,000 bolts just to go visit Captain Quark. The bad news is that this planet is back down to giving us like 8 or 10 bolts a crate. Which is still better than like 6, but you know, we've been on planets where crates give us like 25 bolts a crate. I realize like stuff like counting how many bolts the crates give you is really nerdy, but it's just something that you pick up on, especially after playing this game for 20 years. So this also introduces another new mechanic, and that is that there's enemies that you have to defeat before swimming in the water, or else they instantly kill you. Again, adds to the difficulty curve of this planet. We won't see enemies like this again in the entire game, thankfully. But it is something that we have to take care of, because again, if I try to swim in this water here, I'll just instantly die from this, like, shark fin guy thingies. Oh shoot, I just forgot something. I almost forgot a gold bolt. And considering I'm trying to get all of them, it'd be a shame to just randomly leave one behind for no reason. And I believe that's the last one. I think there's only 2 on this planet and we got both of them, so. Which is good because this planet, I don't really like this planet all that much. And it's partially because of the difficulty curve, partially just that it's like, I don't know, it's kind of intense. And yes, it's because of the difficulty curve that it's intense, but like, I don't know. The next planet that we get to visit is one of my favorites, and that one is arguably more difficult than this one, so it's not necessarily just the difficulty curve why I hate this planet. I don't know, it's just, I think it goes back to when I was a kid. This planet is like really stressful for me, and for whatever reason the next planet wasn't. But then again, the next planet gives us access to a weapon, should we choose to buy it, that's really, really OP. And so it makes the coming planets really trivial if we were to get it, which we're not, because we're trying to get the Rhino. So that might be why the next planet is my favorite. Purely because of the weapon that it gives you access to. Yes, you have to fill this place up with water, and then you have to drain it again. Because you can't reach the door just by jumping out of the water. It's really random. So we've made it through the death course here, and we'll get to see sort of the pinnacle of what happens after we chase Quark down and finally get to meet him face to face and tell him about Chairman Drek.
Well, well, you two continue to surprise me. Step into the ring of heroes, and I will finally give you what you deserve.
Ratchet, this is no time for you to become cautious. We have reached our goal.
I don't know. There's something fishy going on here.
Listen to your little metal friend, Ratchet. Your destiny is mere steps away.
It's just something doesn't seem right.
This is it. Quark is going to help us stop Chairman Drek.
Why, thank you, Clank. You've been most helpful.
Get off of me, you idiot!
I love it when a plan comes together.
What do you mean?
What do you think he means, genius? He's not gonna help us, he's gonna kill us!
You catch on quick. Although there is one problem with your hypothesis, I'm not going to kill you.
You're not?
No, he is.
But why?
But why? It's really not that difficult to decipher. I'm the official spokesman for Drek's new planet. I can't have you two getting in the way of my comeback.
This isn't over, Quark!
No, but it will be soon.
Yeah, so it turns out that Captain Quark wants us dead. Man, should have seen that one coming. Shocker, right? But, so we spent all this time tracking down Captain Quark, and just for Clank, right? Because Clank wants somebody who will stop Chairman Drek and the bad things he's been doing. This boss fight is really simple, by the way. You just dodge his bullshit, and then when he puts up the shield, you just go across the bridge here, and he'll chase you, and you'll see what happens. But so Clank's been trying to find Captain Quark because he believes that he's gonna stop Chairman Drek, right? And that's, I guess, it's understandable, right? Because he's a newly formed robot, and as we've seen before, he's not exactly the brightest thing ever. So he kind of takes people at face value. So just because Captain Quark has hero in his name, Clank already is like, okay, well, you're obviously gonna help, right? And Ratchet, he's purely just been trying to help Clank, right? He's been, you know, he's been helping to bring Clank to Captain Quark because, you know, Clank is his ride. Clank has been able to help him leave his home planet, so why not, you know, help him in return? But here we see that Captain Quark has absolutely no intent of helping us, and instead he's going to try and kill us. So rightfully he becomes pissed off, and you'll see in a little bit that he also gets kind of pissed off at Clank because, again, Clank, you know, basically led Ratchet into a trap, whether it was unknowing or not. But it was Clank's, like, narrow-minded focus on trying to find Captain Quark that got Ratchet into this mess. Basically having to fight for his life. No, don't take my ammo! Damn it. Great, now I get to go and try and collect more again. You see that he flung out some of the pyroster ammo that we have, even though we don't have that weapon. You son of a bitch, again? That, like, ammo suction attack is pretty rare for him to do. Having it happen twice is, pretty shitty. And there's that, the end of the planet. The boss fight isn't too hard, especially with the blaster, obviously. But you can actually beat him with the bomb glove too. You can even beat him with the wrench if you really need to. His attacks aren't really that difficult to dodge. The wrench will just take you like forever to beat him.